We know the pandemic has changed the dating landscape drastically in 2020, especially for my single people out there, Garcelle. But what if we told you that 2021 can give you a new outlook on the world of dating? That's right, because we found the perfect person to help you out. Joining us now is the author and dating expert, Monique Kelley. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hey, ladies. How are you? Hey.
Let's get right into this, Monique. Okay, everyone is in quarantine. What happened to cuffing season?
Okay, so quarantine booth superseded cuffing season. Because if you remember, when we went into quarantine and lockdown in the spring, you noticed people were rushing into relationships. People were moving in with each other and getting in relationships so they could be booed up. So a lot of that happened because the hookup culture had completely changed. So now it's perfectly acceptable for you to ask someone, even before a first date, have you been tested? Now, I'm not going to judge that we didn't ask that pre-COVID because we should have been asking that same question. No shade. Yeah. But now people are comfortable asking that question. Also, people are very comfortable asking, where have you been? Who have you been around? So people are having very real conversations before the first date. Also, one of the things that have been happening is people are really connecting because you're wearing these face masks. So you find that you're looking at someone, you're looking at them deep in the eyes, and the eyes, as we know, are the windows to the soul. So that's definitely happening right now during the quarantine.
All right, but like you said, if you're being now more cautious on the first few dates, like what are daters doing instead?
So now I find that daters are having real conversations. You know, before it was taboo to talk about politics and certain topics, but now, you know, with BLM, elections, people are asking about political views. People are asking about health. People are not wasting time too. You're FaceTiming with someone, so you're eliminating people right away when you're dating. Before even a first date, you're doing a FaceTime. You're making sure you're talking to people more and having those deep conversations.
Wow. I love that. Now, You say there's something that every dater needs to look out for nowadays. What is that?
Okay, so I coined this term in the beginning of lockdown. It's called the Corona Creepers. So when everything was shut down, the restaurants were closed, people didn't really get the idea of virtual dating. A lot of people were meeting people on apps. You're having these deep conversations. You're FaceTiming with each other. And there's this false sense of intimacy that was being built. So a lot of times you get with someone and they're like, I know you haven't seen anyone. I haven't seen anyone. You know, can you come over and kick it? Or can I come over there and kick it? Keep in mind, this person has not spent a dime on a date. And before you know it, you find yourself hooking up with someone that you barely knew. And that was happening a lot in the beginning of quarantine. And that has been found out. So people have realized the Corona Creepers and they are creeping on.
Oh my goodness. Well, Monique, what's your advice for someone who's hesitant to date outside the box? You know, maybe to date someone older, things like that.
Okay, so I always talk about being open to the possibilities when it comes to dating. So when you're talking about dating someone who's a little bit older, you know, for me, I think it's nice, you know, the salt and pepper hair, you know, that's sexy, right? So it's nice to be open, but it's important that when you decide to date someone who's older, that you don't date them saying, oh, they're older, so it will be better, it will be different. Because a lot of times when someone's older, they've had more time to perfect the foolery, okay? So a lot of times you have to look at certain signs. Does this person have multiple kids with multiple mamas, never married any of the baby mamas? Does this person, have they never been married, never been in a serious relationship? Also, I talk about being open to dating outside of your race. So it's okay, date outside your race if you're attracted to the person, if you have a good vibe, if they make you feel good. But don't do it thinking that, okay, I'm going to date outside my race because this person is going to treat me better or it's going to be easier. Because let's be real, every single race has some fools. So you want to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. And when you do it, you have to own it. You don't owe anyone an explanation as to why you choose to date older or another race. And most importantly, I always tell people, be so careful with these lists. The list can really be a drawback sometimes. always think about your non-negotiables, but don't be so married to a list that you miss out on potential good things.
That's
Good
some
job.
really good advice. I love the foolery of it all. Okay, so along with being a dating expert, you now added author to your resume with your new book, Reality in Chaos. Please tell us about it.
Oh, my book, Reality in Chaos, I love to say it's a modern day Waiting to Exhale meets Sex in the City. It's about three girlfriends that met each other at Hampton University and HBCU. And you know, when you're in your 20s, you're graduating from college, you're like, my life is gonna look like this. It's gonna be like this by the time I'm 30. And each of these ladies hit 40, and the reality of where their life actually is hits them. And it's not necessarily that they have a bad life, but it's nothing at all what they thought it was going to be. And their friendship and sisterhood gets them through life's ups and downs. It's a great, great book.
That is so awesome. As a writer, though, and being a dating expert, do you ever find yourself like coaching your fictional characters in your head?
You know, it's funny you say that, because when I decided to write my first book, a lot of people assumed I was going to write a dating guide. But for me, I wanted to do a novel so that I could coach people through the experiences of the characters. You have one character who, for a lot of women, you reach your mid-30s, late 30s, and you're single. And you think to yourself, I would rather be married than single and alone. So you see this character who marries someone who wasn't right for her, and seeing what it's like when you're in a marriage and alone, and realizing that being single and alone is not that bad. You have another character who's dealing with a sibling who has mental health issues, and watching her journey dealing with the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, and seeing would it have that same end result. And last but not least, you have a character, typical LA character, Louboutins, Range Rover, but broke, and struggling to like become this star. And she gets an opportunity of lifetime and realizes, was the price of fame worth it? So it explores all these different characters, all these different avenues and things that they go through, and that underlying sisterhood and friendship. And the viewer and the reader get to see what it's like and get coached through the story.
God, there's
It's
so many
good.
layers to this. You just got to dive in. Monique, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for hanging out with us. So everybody, make sure to pick up Monique's book, Reality in Chaos, at Amazon and Barnes & Noble.